Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to tune into that. Definitely. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Dope. What's going on, guys? How y'all running tonight? Can you hear me? Yeah. Diego, what's up, brother? Liam, how you doing, brother? Sean, my good man, what up? Keyshawn, what up? Spo, what up? King in the house. Steady, what up? Mr. Brown, what's up, brother? How you doing tonight? All right. Tweaks, what's up? Let's not do that. I'm so feeling not talking about the Lakers. I actually turned the game off. I was watching it um, up until the third quarter, almost the middle of the end of the third quarter. Have you ever watched the game and have you ever watched the game? I don't know whether it's football, baseball, any sporting event. Have you ever watched the game and in the middle of the game you said out loud, "Yo, get these sorry off my TV"? Have you ever said that? Because that's exactly what I said last night watching the Lakers. I was like, "Yo, get these dudes off my TV, man. I can't handle it. I am not watching another minute of this game. No doubt about that. I'm not." So uh, I want to start this conversation today with a guy that I haven't been talking about, that I've been uh, a guy that I have been a bit not critical of, but I was on the fence about him, and that's Ja Morant. And my logic with Ja Morant is him playing like this, can he continue to do this? And not recognizing how good he is right now. And I can say that you can make the argument that Ja Morant is the best guard in the game right now. You can make that argument. Looking at all the other guards in the game and looking at how everybody has been playing up until this point, you can make the argument Ja Morant is the best guard in the game right now. Now, the problem that we having, and the problem that we're having is when you're talking about league MVP status, the fact that Memphis has been winning without him, that's the downside. But when you're talking about how he's been playing up until this point, you can definitely make the argument, a legit argument. Ja Morant is the best guard in the game. The way he's been playing up until this point, no doubt about it. You can make that argument. When I look at what DeMar DeRozan has been doing, and he's been holding that team together with the Chicago Bulls. When I look at what Book has been doing and how much better Book is going to get with Chris Paul out of the lineup, I still don't see how these guys are lighting up the league like Ja is. I mean, Ja has now become box office. I mean, who's box office in the NBA? Who's a guy in the NBA when you find out which teams are on the docket for that night? Who is a must see when you go, yo, we got to see this dude. So I think James is one of those guys. I think KD is one of those guys. I think people tune in when Irv plays. Let's see. Westbrook used to be that guy. I think people tune in when Steph plays. Giannis is one of those guys. Ja Morant has now become one of those guys where when he's on, you have to watch him. And not only when he's on do you have to watch him, now it's trickled down to, in fact, it hasn't trickled down. I'm going to go up. It's trickled up to the NBA offices where they're looking at Ja Morant like, we got to get this guy on TV more. We got to push to get this guy on TV more. What it reminds me of is when Vince Carter was doing his thing in the early 2000s, how popular he became overnight. Not overnight. Overnight's not the word I'm looking for. How popular he became and how big of a deal he became and how the NBA figured out that, yo, we got to ride this wave. Now, there was chatter about how Vince Carter was, he was the next Jordan, and it was him and Bryant as the better two guards in the game. And the NBA took notice to that, and they decided that, yo, we got to get Toronto on TV more. People have to see this guy more. I think the same thing is going on with Ja, where he's becoming box office, and I think that that's dope. I absolutely think that's dope. No doubt about it. So that's my rant to start with Ja. I've been not critical of him more than I've been hesitant to buy into the hype because I've seen guys who've come in and they've looked great early and then it goes the other way, whether it's injury or whether they just don't hold up in terms of their game. But when I look at Ja, I look at a guy he's must-see TV. Now, the question that I have about him is, can he hold up? Because I don't think that Ja Morant can play at this level the way he plays for 5 years, for 10 years. I don't think he'll hold up. I just don't think his body will hold up. I watched him throw it on the big fella a couple of nights ago. I can't see him playing like that for the course of 5 to 7 years, the way he's put together. I mean, I heard Dwayne Wade say that Bob McAdoo said to him, I think this was in his second year, Bob McAdoo said to him, if you're gonna be able to hold up, you're gonna have to change your game because you're not gonna last the way you play. And Dwayne Wade was one of those guys who constantly got slammed to the ground, who was constantly on the floor, constantly. So when I look at a guy like Ja, who wasn't put together like Dwayne Wade, what is if you had to guess off the top of your head, how big is Ja? What are you, about 6'3"? What are you, about 180? Maybe 185? I don't think he's that heavy, right? So when I look at Ja, 175, I don't think that this guy is going to be able to hold up physically playing like this for 5 to 7 years. He's going to have to change his game. And he's going to have to change his game, and he's going to have to get a consistent mid-range in his game. He's going to have to pick and choose when he goes to the basket. He's going to have to be a better distributor. He's going to have to do all of these things in order to last, because this high-flying, high-wire act, for a guy his size, he's not going to hold up. But in terms of his game right now, you could definitely make the argument that he's the best guard in the game. You could definitely make that argument. So, yeah, that's my opening rant. That is my opening rant. That's what I start with. But I had to answer a question that I saw not too long ago, and I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal, but I don't think Ja is Russ 2.0. No, I do not think that. I do not think he's Russ 2.0. Not at all. Hello, Jillian dear. How are you? I don't think that he's I don't think he's Russ 2.0, but I'm also like I'm just concerned that is he going to hold up? That's it. Because I've seen Ja Morant before. I've seen him in the form of Derrick Rose. I've seen him in the form of Vince Carter. I've seen Ja Morant before. So that's my issue. Is he going to be able to hold up? Ja is way too good to be compared with Russ. And he can't rebound or assist like Russ. Ja's shot is way too good. I don't know where you're going with that, but I don't know where you're going with that one. But all right. I do not know. So Yo. No, I wouldn't. You know, since we're here, and I think James Harden, I'm glad you brought that up, Michael. That excuse me. I'm glad you brought that up, Michael, that he is buckets. But the question that needs to be answered with him is he going to be able to deliver in the playoffs? That's it. No doubt about it. Is he going to be able to deliver in the playoffs? Because that's been his Achilles heel. Yeah, I saw the Timberwolves game last night. Did you see the game? And I think that he got hurt. He was on the sideline, and they brought him back in. You talking about Ja? We already know what that is. And Jillian, dear, I'm glad you're here because I'm interested to know how you feel about James Harden. Because you've already heard how I feel about him and Joel Embiid together. What do you think about James Harden getting on your crew now? How do you feel about adding him to your crew? How do you think he helps you guys? Yes. I don't, man. It's not that I don't think that they can win it. I think that they're in such a slump right now. So I think they just got to play themselves out of it. I feel like he's like an Aaron Rodgers in a sense. Amazing in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it does get tricky in the playoffs, and that's been his Achilles heel. So until and he's given you no evidence to the contrary. He hasn't. He's given you no evidence to say, all right, I can think about this in a different way. I think that he can do this. I think because he has given you no evidence to say we can win with him. He hasn't. And that's why people are that way with him. So that's how I look at James Harden with Brooklyn. I think he's going to be dynamic. No question about it. I think he's going to be absolutely awesome. But in the regular season, the question that needs to be answered is what's going to happen when we get to the meat and potatoes of the season, which is the playoffs. So I was watching Boston and Atlanta last night, and Boston is actually rounding out right where I thought that they would be before the season started. I had them 5th in the East. So when I think about my Eastern Conference predictions before the season started, I had Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami, Boston, in that order. right? So instead, it's Miami, Chicago, Philadelphia, Cleveland. I'm sorry, Miami, Chicago, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Boston. Now, Cleveland came as a shock. Chicago also came as a shock. I thought that Chicago would be lower than what they were. I was surprised what they did. I had Chicago at I had Chicago at 8. So my prediction before the season started was Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami, Boston, Atlanta, New York, Chicago. Those were my 8 teams in the playoffs. Now, I had Chicago at the bottom of that list simply because they had a bunch of new guys and they had to prove that they could play defense. And they hadn't proven that. Now, their defense has been average over the last couple of weeks at best. But when I look at Boston, right, I'm not really surprised about Jaylen Brown getting hurt. And the reason why I'm not surprised with Jaylen Brown getting hurt, because wasn't he banged up earlier in this season? He was banged up earlier this season. Not only was he banged up earlier this season, did he not miss not all of last season. I think he missed the second part of last season because he broke his hand. So the question needs to be answered with him. The question needs to be answered with him. Is Jaylen Brown made of glass? Because now these injuries that he has, they aren't. I mean, he had the COVID injury early also, and he gets nicked up more than it's just. He gets nicked up more than it is something serious. Like that ankle injury last night. I mean, he was able to walk off the floor on his own volition. So I can't say that it was that bad. But when I look at his game and I look at his body type, he's another one of those guys who, I mean, he plays recklessly. And he's got to be able to do a better job in picking spots when and where he's going to play. Otherwise, I don't know if he's going to hold up, because he's given me a history of being injured. Over these last 2 years, this is what I'm getting from him. So he's going to be crucial, because I think that they give Brooklyn last year, I think they give them a better run if Jaylen Brown was healthy. I don't think that Brooklyn walks past them in 5 games or 4 games. Did they beat them in 4 or 5 last year? Something like that. And they did beat them in 5 because Tatum had to get 50 in one of those games in order for them to win. I don't think that they beat Boston that handily if Jaylen Brown was healthy. So if they're gonna be serious in the playoffs, he's got to get healthy and he's got to stay healthy. Because I think that team is coming together. Defensively, I think that they're coming together more than anything. I love Robert Williams as a rim protector. I love Robert Williams as a rebounder. I think that they got Horford back, but I think they got him 2 years too late. I actually like the Philadelphia Horford. If they would have gotten him, I give them a much better shot of making some real noise in the playoffs. But I think that they're right where they should be at number 5, around number 5, 6. So when I think about teams like Boston, I mean, that's where I'm at with them. But I think Atlanta is a middle of the road team also. So I'm not that surprised about what they're doing. And the fact that they might not make the playoffs, in fact, I don't think they will. So I don't think the Lakers are moving off of Anthony Davis. I don't think they're going to move off of him. I do not. Trey did get hurt, but it was a tweak of his ankle. It wasn't that bad. He was able to come back. Brown was done for the night, right? Brown was absolutely done for the night. So I don't think it was that bad. Bringing Theis back was definitely big time. No doubt about that. If you Boston, why would you do that? Right? If you Boston and the Lakers call, why would you give them Jaylen Brown for Anthony Davis? You already know who Anthony Davis is. You don't know if Jaylen Brown is injury prone. Is this going to be the better part of his career? I mean, Anthony Davis at 27 years old, this is his history. I mean, we don't know for a fact that Jaylen Brown is going to continue to do this. This just might be a stretch where he rolled the ankle, he broke his hand. So he does have a history. All right, I can get with that logic, but is this him? That's the question. Is this him? And is this something that is going to be ongoing? I don't know. I can't say that. So no, it wouldn't have been 50. He would have needed 60 for another win. 50 wasn't enough. 50 was barely enough to beat them the first time, which means it would have took 60 to beat him a second time. AD is a better player than Jaylen Brown, but the problem is, King, AD can't hold up. So if I can't count on you to be here, it doesn't matter if you're a better player or not. You can't hold up. What's the problem with the Lakers? He can't hold up. So he hampers them defensively because he ain't out there. So the fact that you're a better player than somebody else, it don't matter if we can't have you on the floor. It's going to be big. And I can tell you this right now, Darrell, they're not sending Ben Simmons out there for that game. No way. There's no way that's going to be his first game back. Absolutely not. No way are they sending him back out there. We've already been down that road of him having these issues mentally, right? So the first part of that logic would be he wants to go back to Philadelphia to stick it to him. But then if he goes to Philadelphia and he bombs, and not only does he bomb, they lose, that could affect him going forward. And now we right back. In fact, not only are we right back at the beginning, we might be behind the starting line. So there's no way that they're sending him back out there against them. No, they can't risk that. They cannot risk that. No way. Mo, I don't know, man, because Steph does not look like Steph did 2 months ago. I don't know what I'm looking at with Steph Curry right now. Steph Curry looks like a guy who's just out of sorts. I mean, I watched him last night. 5 for 16, and he's had a number of those 5 for 16, 4 for 13 performances shooting the long ball, because that's his game, and we all know that that's his game. He's had a number of those performances. And I've already said to you that Steph has one of those games where he can shoot himself back into the MVP race. But I just don't think that he has enough time. We barely got 20-something games left, something like that, before the season is over. So, Sean, the Nuggets are not a dark horse team to win it all. No, they are not. And there's no way you're selling me that. And in fact, I'd like to talk to you about that. What gives you the logic that the Nuggets can win it all? What do they have that has given you the idea that the Denver Nuggets can win the NBA championship? What? My dark horse is Miami. I had Miami picked 4th before the season started. I didn't have Miami at the top of the Eastern Conference. I didn't. I thought they were going to be a great team defensively, but I didn't have them winning it. They had 1 All-Star in buckets. That's it. 1. So I'm interested to know what is your logic on the MVP and they 2-0 against Miami. Okay, what about before you get to Miami? You got to get out of the Western Conference. You think they can beat Memphis in round one? I don't. You think they can beat Golden State? I don't. You think that they can beat Phoenix? I don't. You think they can beat Utah? I don't. So I'm trying to make sense in what your logic is, and I can understand Joker being who he is, right? And maybe the logic is maybe Joker going on an Olajuwon type of run. Maybe, right? Going on some sort of Olajuwon type of run where he throws that team on his back and takes them to the finals and wins it. I would love to see that. I think it's highly unlikely. I don't think that that's something that we're going to see, but I would love to see that. Would love to see it. If you 2-0 against Golden State and you 2-0 against Miami, why are you in sixth place in the Western Conference? Why? What's the problem? Why aren't you a legit contender? Because the Western Conference isn't as great as it's been in the past. It's not. So why aren't you higher than where you were? Or why aren't you higher than sixth place? Why aren't you higher than that? I'm all ears to hear that. You came back from being down 3-1 against Utah. That was 3 years ago. So, once again, why aren't you higher in the Western Conference? So you're injured. I can get with that logic. So you think that if you get Jamal Murray back, who hasn't played in a year, and you think that if you get MPJ back, who hasn't played the entire season, and you get these guys and throw them back in, you got a legit shot at winning the NBA championship. When these guys haven't played all year, we're going to throw them back in there, and they got a legit shot at winning it. Because I can tell you right now, MPJ, he could fall apart at any point because he's got a history of back injuries, a history of that. How good do you think Jamal Murray is going to be coming off an ACL injury and having not played in a year? You think that he could come off an ACL injury and having not played in a year, go right back to being at a championship level? Do you think that? Michael Porter Jr. is not trash. That's not true. Because that's the logic. The logic is you think that these guys are going to be healthy, which they look like they are. But it's one thing to be healthy, and it's something completely different to play at a championship level immediately. Is that realistic to think? Is that realistic to think? I don't think so. I'm having a difficult time with that. Steady, there's no fix right now. And here's the reason why there's no fix right now, Steady, because you saw what happened to them when they played against Milwaukee. Is that correct? When they got stomped and James blatantly came out and said, we are not that good. So if you're not that good, that means that you're not Golden State good. You're not Phoenix good. You're not Memphis good. You're not Utah good. You're not that good. That's just in the Western Conference, right? So when you see them playing against the Clippers, when you see them playing against Minnesota, when you see them playing against New Orleans, when you see them playing against the Trailblazers, those are the teams, that's the class that they're in, which would explain why you see them struggle against the Clippers. You see them struggling against New Orleans, which even though they didn't struggle against, that wasn't a struggle. A struggle would be a fight. I mean, they got stomped by New Orleans. Add all of that up with the fact that this unit right now This is what we're stuck with. This is it. So there's no moving on anybody right now. So the idea is to shuffle the lineup as much as I think they've had 25 different starting lineups since the season started. 25 different starting lineups. And the continuity isn't there. The rotations aren't there. So the idea is to see if you can find a lineup that can at least get you some production. I mean, Kent Bazemore is back in the rotation. I haven't seen him for most of the season. So when I see that, that tells me that, he's just throwing things up against the wall to see what sticks. We're just throwing things up against the wall to see what sticks. Now, Russ has to play. You can't have a guy on your bench making $44 million this season and then $47 million next season and not playing. That can't happen. That's terrible for business. As bad as Russ has been, he has to play. But you have to find space for him. What is the best space for him to play in? And I think the best space for Russ to play in is when James is off the floor. That's it. When James is off the floor, Russ is on the floor. When Russ is off the floor, James is on the floor. That's the best space. That's the best space for Russ to be in. Because I don't like him on the floor. I think I think him and James not tripping over each other, but they seem like a lackluster unit when that's going on. And I'm having such a difficult time with Vogel with his rotations. And the reason why he's having a difficult time because he got 12 new guys. So I don't think that there's a fix right now for this Laker team. It's not. No way. I do drink smoothies. I make a really good banana, blueberry, blackberry, mango, starfruit, strawberry smoothie. It's actually really good. Mm-hmm. Julius Erving was really good. He was absolutely fantastic. Doc wasn't super nice with the ball, but Doc was incredible in transition. Doc was he was the league. He was the epitome of a high wire act. The epitome of that. He was impossible to guard. And the reason why he was impossible to guard is because the stuff that he was doing, blow-bys. Doc could shoot the mid-range, but it wasn't great. Blow-bys, his layup package. Doc's weak hand wasn't great, but the stuff that he was doing hadn't been seen. That's why he was so difficult to deal with. And add all of that up with the fact that he was incredibly athletic. So because you have all of that stuff put together, it's going to be real difficult to deal with a guy like that. No doubt. So it was Jabbar. He was considered the GOAT before Jordan. No, I do not think that DeMar would be as bad as Russ because DeMar doesn't need the ball. That's not his game. Russ needs the ball. And because he needs the ball, he's more prone to make more mistakes. DeMar DeRozan plays inside of his game. He does not let you speed him up. He doesn't let you make him play out of character. This is his game. My game is 15 to 18, 15 to 19, 16 to 20 feet. That's my game. And I'm great in transition. Russ's game is flight, athleticism, speed, and go, 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 go. That's not DeMar DeRozan's game. And he would play off of James. That's what makes him so much more of a better fit. Because when you got James and Russ, you got two primary ball handlers. Well, that's difficult. To answer your question, Jillian, I'm definitely watching that Milwaukee Heat game tonight. That's going to be huge. No doubt about that. But when you got a guy like Russ and James, you got two primary ball handlers. Well, you're kind of stepping on each other. And Russ doesn't know how to not play fast. So it looks even worse. But I will say this, and Russ gets so much slander. And I still haven't gotten a satisfactory answer on why. I mean, Russ is one of the best guards in league history. Russ isn't good. Russ is a first ballot Hall of Famer. You just have to accept who he is. You guys talk about Russ like he's trash. You talk about Russ like he's straight garbage. And he's not. I don't think he's garbage. I was just disappointed because I thought that I got sucked into the Russ hype when I saw him play and I saw Derrick Rose. It took me not long. It didn't take me long to see and go, he's better than him. But then as time went on, I started to recognize that he wasn't that smart and he only played at one speed. So his game is not in question in terms of his skill set. But this up here is what completely throws all of that off and throws a monkey wrench in it. Right? And I'm so disappointed in finding out that he's not that smart. And as time went on, watching him and seeing that, damn, I don't know if we could win with this dude. It's like being with a girl who, on the surface, she just looks great. She's absolutely fantastic. She's good looking. She can cook. She fulfills all your needs. Only to find out that, yeah, man, she ain't that smart. I can't really talk to her. So the disappointment, once you find that out, it's like, damn, man. You invested a lot in her. Well, I felt the same way about Russ. I was looking at Russ like Russ was going to be the best league guard in the game for a long time. Because I saw what Derrick Rose was doing, and I'm thinking, I think he's better than him. But you're not being that smart. And not only you not being that smart, you being stubborn. That's a byproduct of not being that smart. And that's why I'm so disappointed in him. But with all of that being said, I can't look at Russ and be as disrespectful as a lot of these people are where, you know, Russ is trash. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. How is Russ trash? I don't get it. Man. I'm definitely not going that far. I don't get it. The front runner for Defensive Player of the Year is Rudy again. That's who the front runner is for Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's Rudy again. I like what Jaren Jackson is doing. Thibault, Mikal Bridges. I'm digging all of those dudes, but I think the Defensive Player of the Year, I think it's Rudy's to lose. So if I had to pick right now, who's winning it? Who has shown me right now in a 60-game season. So the regular season is over. We going into the playoffs. Who do you think is winning the NBA championship right now going into the playoffs? I'm sticking with Milwaukee. I am. I'm sticking with Milwaukee. I'm sticking with what Giannis is doing. I'm sticking with Middleton. I'm sticking with what Giannis is doing. I'm sticking with what Middleton is doing. They have that championship pedigree. They are one of the better defensive teams in the game. And they got the best player in the game in Giannis. So my money would be on Milwaukee to win it. That's who I would go with. I couldn't say Philadelphia because I know who James Harden is in the playoffs, and he hasn't proven otherwise. You get him better players, and I've seen him play with better players, and I've seen him fade in the playoffs. Phoenix, like I said, if the season ended today, Chris Paul ain't playing. So Phoenix is off the table. I look at Golden State, and Golden State, they're this. And that's not going to work going into the playoffs. I mean, I'm looking at Jordan Poole, who started out the season. He was shooting, I think, over 40% from three. I think he's down to 25% now. Steph is basically leveled off. Klay Thompson has been very inconsistent. They still don't have Wiseman. Draymond isn't healthy. Brooklyn, they haven't had their unit together long enough, so I can't pick them. So the only team as of right now that I think has a legit shot at winning it, if the season ended today, is Milwaukee. I do think that the Heat match up well with the Bucks. I do. And I think that defensively, I mean, I like Bam against Giannis. I do. And I like their scheme because what the Miami Heat will do against Bam, what the Miami Heat will do with Bam against Giannis, they don't waste any time with Giannis. They jump him. There is no waiting because they know the playmaker that he is. And they know how good he is with the ball. So they don't waste any time with him. It's not a maybe go. No. As soon as Giannis gets the ball, especially when he's on the block, they jump him. And you're going to have to get that ball out of your hands, and you're going to have to get other people. You're going to have to get other people involved, which Giannis does. He's one of the better big guys in the game as a passer. But I like Middleton making open shots, right? I like Grayson Allen making open shots. I still have a difficult time with water. Spo, I use water for that. I still have a difficult time with them letting PJ Tucker walk out the front door because that's going to come back to bite them. That's going to be a problem moving forward. And I'm still not sure if they're going to be able to overcome that. I don't know. But I just like their chances. So anybody can beat anybody in the regular season. That don't surprise me at all, my man. You think that the fact that they beat them one game in February, do you think that with the way that this Milwaukee team is, and the way that Brooklyn team is, I'm asking you, with what you just saw, can the Brooklyn Nets beat them 4 times in a week with that group that they got right now? 4 times in a week. Do you think that Brooklyn team that you saw stop Milwaukee, you think they could beat them 4 times in a week? Yes or no? Even if he could play all 4 games, let's take that off the table. Even if he could play all 4 games, even if he could play all 7 games, do you think that they could beat them 4 times in a week? I don't think so. I do not. So I don't have a most underrated or underappreciated player ever because the players that I that I see and the players that I talk about those players. And I talk about Moses Malone, right? I talk about David Robinson. I talk about Brandon Roy. So I don't think that people talk as much about Moses Malone, but there are players that I think that they talk about more that I'm not really that big a fan of, like Tracy McGrady. I'm not that big a fan. So of course he says that. You know that. And Tweaks, if that's true, right? If they'll be lucky to play a full 5 games together before the playoffs, how does that translate into the playoffs? That's what I'm thinking about. How does that translate into the playoffs? Because if I could get Irv, KD, Drummond, Patty Mills, Curry, Ben Simmons, if I could get these dudes on the floor, and if I could get these dudes together for barely 5 games, are we just going to show up in the playoffs and just give KD the ball and just let him rock? Or give Irv the ball and just let him rock? And that's going to translate to wins? And when I say wins, I mean being a championship team. Man, I'm having a difficult time with that. I do like Tracy McGrady, Whippy. I don't like him as much as everybody else likes him. That's my issue with Tracy McGrady. It's not an issue. I like Tracy McGrady. Dynamic athlete. Could score on anybody. But I just think he was a little bit, I don't think he was as good as everybody made him out to be. I'm having a difficult time with a guy who never been out of the first round of the playoffs, ever. Never been out of the first round of the playoffs, not one time. As a starter in his career, in his prime, never been out of the first round of the playoffs. And I'm not buying that logic of, I've seen the all-time greats win me a playoff series. How many of you can say that KD can win me am I out of line if I said KD can win me a playoff series? Am I out of line saying that? Am I out of line saying LeBron can win me a playoff series? Am I out of line when I say Kobe Bryant or Jordan, Giannis can win me a playoff? I ain't saying you can win me the NBA championship, but you can win me a series where we could get on your back and you could get us out of the first round. So when I see a guy like Tracy McGrady, who, by the way, nobody talks about this, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the 03-04 season. It was either the 02-03 season or the 03-04 season. I think it was the 03 season. They were up on Detroit. They were up 3-1 and choked it. So the gold standard for greatness is winning. And I'm having a very difficult. I've seen Dame Lillard win me a series. I've seen that. I've seen that before. I've seen Carmelo Anthony win me a series. I saw that. Just off the strength of him. I've seen Dwayne Wade win me a series. I've seen that. So if I can't get you to win me a series, I'm having a difficult time with you being as high as what people. I think it's a lot of kids. I'm not questioning Tracy McGrady's talent. I mean, we talking about a dude. I met him in 2002. He a bit of 6'9". Ain't nothing 6'7" or 6'8" about Tracy McGrady. He a bit of 6'9". A bit of it. So, King, see that logic right there. I'm not listening to that. He never had help like James. He never, and I'm not asking you to go to the NBA Finals. What I am asking you to do is, can you get at a round? Are you good enough? Are you good enough to get me at a round one? Because if you're good enough to get me at a round one, I can build around that. And the reason why I'm saying that, is because how people have him rated. Tracy McGrady is this, Tracy McGrady is that. The gold standard for greatness is winning. And if you're not good enough to get me out of round one, how can I have you amongst the all-time greats? In terms of a talent, I don't think your talent is, I think your talent is unmatched. I think you are up there with the best players ever. But when I think about you in terms of winning, that notion of I needed help. I don't care about you not winning the NBA championship. I don't care about that. Because a lot of things need to go your way in order to win an NBA championship. A lot. Can I get you to win me a playoff series? Just one. So, Embiid, Joker, Giannis, DeRozan, Ja, in that order. I'm flipping Joker and Giannis. I'm flipping those two. Giannis 28 and 11. 28, 11, and 6. And he's going to be a first-team All-League defender this year. On top of that. No doubt. 29 and 11. I'm sorry. I thought it was 28 and 11. 29 and 11. I did see that, Sean, that KD. Well, I thought that KD would be out for close to 2 months, and we coming up around that time. So he got hurt in the beginning of January. That KD got hurt, like around the first week of January, he got hurt. And I knew that he would be out minimum past the All-Star break. I knew that. So I'm not surprised about that at all. I'm not. Too much sauce. You have to understand that the league MVP is not about the guy who's playing the best. It's also about, it's not just the guy who's playing the best. Is your team winning? Do you care that Joker's team is in 6th place in the Western Conference? Does that matter to you, my good man? Do you not care about that? We've gone over this plenty of times. I'm not fighting what Joker has done. I'm not. But his team isn't very good. So your 25 and 13 isn't on a 6th place team is not more valuable than my 29 and 11 on a 3rd place team. It's not. It is not. So I have a difficult time with that. Very much so. Good morning. Excuse me for a second. No. Why wouldn't Embiid win the league MVP with Harden? Did you see him on Sunday with Harden? How did Joel Embiid do? I mean, James Harden has 16 assists that game on Sunday. 16. Damn. Well, that's when y'all expecting him back, King. Tomorrow. They're expecting him back on Thursday. So, yeah. They're expecting KD back tomorrow. So, Yes, sir. Do that. I think so too, Chris. That's why I said that I didn't expect KD back until March. I didn't expect it. They said that it was a 4 to 6 week injury. I was like, he's gonna be out for 2 months. Definitely past the All-Star break. Definitely. So I'm not surprised about that at all. I'm not. Not a little bit. Mm-mm. I don't think he needs to be honest with you, King. And the reason why I don't think he needs to is because you have guys on that crew who could supplement the stuff that wasn't going on in 2018. Like James' second leading scorer in that 2018 season was Kevin Love, and he was averaging 15 a game. I think Kyrie Irving is good for more than 15 a night. I'd like to think that. Excuse me. I think that Steph Curry could give you between 12 and 13 points. I think that he could give you that. And you got I'm loving more than anything. I'm loving this Andre Drummond acquisition. I'm loving that. Because nigga, your dirty work guy that I've been complaining about for months that you didn't have. He's the difference. If we look at this Brooklyn team and Irv was able to play the majority of, if Irv was able to play, even though I think Irv would have broke down at some point because this vaccination thing is not Irv's only problem. But for the sake of argument, if Irv was able to play and you take Blake Griffin off the floor and take the big guy, the thin guy, I'm looking right at him with the braids. You take him off the floor and put Drummond in, they're a way better team. Way better. I'm loving everything about them then. Claxton, that's him. If you take him out the lineup and put Drummond in, I'm loving that unit. I'm absolutely loving that unit now. But getting Drummond now, the unit just seems a little. They got a lot of issues to work out, and they seemed a little bit dysfunctional. They just do, and I don't think they have enough time to figure it out. They just don't. Creativity by way of Mr. Jordan. Mm-hmm. You can't, Jalen. I can't rely on somebody that ain't playing, man. I can't do it. No, I can't. Wish I could say I could, but I can't. I can't rely on a guy who's not going to be here. That's why I'm thinking that the Lakers should move on from Anthony Davis. I don't think that they will, though. I don't think that they're moving him. But he's shown you this is who he is. And his availability, I think he's a better player than what Andrew Bynum was. If we could get him, in order for the Andrew Bynum situation to work, you needed Bryant. Bryant was healthy. If we could get Andrew Bynum to play 55, 60 games and be ready for the playoffs, you saw what happened with them dudes. 3 straight trips to the finals. Well, that's the same idea with Anthony Davis. If you could get him to play 60 games and then for him to be healthy in the playoffs, but you also have to get him that other guy, which is James. So Anthony Davis is the common denominator here. Injury is the common denominator here for Anthony Davis. Good to see you, Liam. My man. Good to see you, brother. I've been saying that, King. People, they think that I'm nuts when I say if the Lakers were to call up Minnesota and ask for Cat in exchange for Anthony Davis, why the hell are we doing that? Why? Why in the hell are we doing that? There's no reason for us to do that. None. None. Shaq and T-Mac sat down and talked with each other, and they said that the MVP award should be an MVP because it's the most valuable player award. I do believe that. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. And excuse me, and I saw I actually saw that interview where Tracy McGrady thinks that him being on the team that he was more valuable than this guy. And my logic was, first and foremost, that team that you was on, he said they was in 6th place. No, you actually were tied with Milwaukee for 7th that year. That's number one. Number two, your 32 a game that you averaged that year on a 7th place team is not more valuable than Tim Duncan's 23 and 13. It's not. Tim Duncan went 23, 13, and 3 blocks that year on a 1st place team. Your 23, your 32 a game on a 7th place team is not more valuable than his 23, 13, and 3 blocks. It's not. It's not. So I think a lot of these guys are, like when I hear about Charles Oakley telling me that Giannis would be a rotation player, a lot of this has to do, guys, with not being in the game anymore and feeling like you're going to be forgotten. So you have to say stuff like this. This is where it's coming from. Who was the defensive player of the year in 2003? I think it was Ben Wallace in 2003. Yeah, I think it was Ben Wallace in 2003. I think Tim Duncan finished. No, yeah. I think it was Ben Wallace in 2003. Because in 2004 it was Garnett. And then it was Ben Wallace again in 2005. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't think that Irv is going to resign. I think that if he was going to do that, that's why they had the extension on the table for him and they took it off. So I think he's out of Brooklyn. I think that they washing their hands with him after this season. Well, not only did Tim not win the defensive player of the year, if my memory serves me right, he had a 10-year stretch where he finished in the top 5. He finished in the top 5, I think, like 6 or 7 times. And he finished in the top 3, like I think 4 times, where he finished in the top 3 in defensive player of the year. In like an 8-year span. He finished in something nuts like that. Artest won it in 2004. Who won it in? I think Ben Wallace won it in 2003. Artest didn't win it in 2004. Garnett won it in 2004. In the 2003-04 season, Garnett won it. No, he didn't. Garnett won it in 2008. I'm sorry. Garnett won the league MVP. My fault. That's not true. Artest did win it in 2004. You're right. You're exactly right. I keep thinking Garnett won defensive player of the year. No, he won league MVP in 2004. He did not. My fault. That's not true. So Ben Wallace did win it in 2003. Right. That's correct. So yep. Yikes. Yeah, Mark, I still haven't gotten a satisfactory answer on that. And I can tell you right now, hang on for 1 second. Hang on for 1 second. Let me get my notes out real quick. I can tell you right now, really quick. Yep. Because because I had a debate about Garnett and Duncan and who was the better overall defensive player, right? So Let's see here. I got it in here somewhere. I think I passed it. Yep, hold on. Give me a second. I'll tell you right. Yeah. Get my notes out. Haha. So, let's see here. Right. So in 03, I'm sorry, in 2000, in the 2000-2001 season, he finished third. In 01-02, he finished fourth. In 02-03, he finished fourth. 03-04, he finished seventh. 04-05, he finished fourth. 05-06, he finished sixth. 06-07, he finished third. 07-08, he finished ninth. And so from and in the 98-99 season, he finished fifth. So he finished in the top five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He finished in the top 5 times in 7 years, including third. Man, that's nuts. Including finishing fourth twice. That's nuts. That is absolutely nuts to me. And never seeing the defensive player of the year. That's crazy. Absolutely nuts. So, all right, guys. It's about that time for me. I'm going to see if I can get on tomorrow night. But tomorrow night is Brooklyn, Milwaukee. So tomorrow night is Brooklyn, Milwaukee. No, Brooklyn, Miami. I'm sorry. Not Brooklyn, Milwaukee. It's Brooklyn, Miami. Is it Brooklyn, Miami? Yeah, Brooklyn, Miami tomorrow night. So I might be on tomorrow night. I might not be. I'm not sure. But I hope to see you guys before the week is out. But if I don't, take it light. But take it.